Hey guys, it's Annie Lieb with Living with Annietude, here to bring you an awesome show. My guest is not here yet, so that makes me a little anxious. However, it's okay because you might have to listen to me talk for a half an hour, and if that's the case, that's the case. What can I say? I wanted to start off by saying, and I know I've talked about this before, but I just wanted to thank the community that is following me and supporting me and encouraging me. I know that I'm beating this like a dead horse, as they say, and beating this to death. But I have to say that never in my 42 years have I experienced this type of love, encouragement, support from many people. Hi, Danny. Good to see you. From many people most people on the platform on LinkedIn that I've never met. Thanks for coming in, Dan. And it's just like, I read my comments, each and every one of them, and I write back to each one a meaningful response from my heart, because it is truly like my mind is blown. Like, I don't even know who to tell. I can't tell my friends anymore. They don't care. Like, I can't tell my, my best friend here locally. She's like, okay, like they're supporting you. But it's like an unbelievable feeling. And I want everybody to know that. Hi, how are you guys? Hi, Rob. Hey. Hi, Thomas. You always show up and it's so nice to see you guys. It's such a awesome. Sup, Michael? So I was just talking about how you guys are so incredibly, hi Pat, good to see you again. We had a call today. So incredibly, not only supportive, but really like care. And I've had meaningful conversations, one-to-ones with so many of you. And it's just, I see you, Annie fucking leave. Favorite comment of all time. For those of you who don't know, my nickname for many years was, my middle name's Jennifer, so my initials are were AJC, and then they became AFL when I got married, and F stood for a bad word, so I was AFL for a long time. So the fact that that Dan knows that Annie fucking Lieb is kind of funny. Hello, Kirk. How are you? So my guest isn't here yet. My guest is Shara Ruffin. I'm assuming that she had something going on or whatever, but we're just kind of talking about, I'm talking about how, hi, Cole. This is really fun. Like, I feel like, with COVID and everything, like, I feel like this is a party. Like, I'm entering a party and I'm seeing all of my friends for the first time when you guys come in and say hi to me in these shows. I really, really feel like that. So I want you to know that all of your comments and the things that you say on my posts and our interaction, whether it's in DM or Zoom or some phone calls, like, I can't tell you how much that means to me. I take none of you for granted. Not one comment, not one person do I take for granted. It's been an unbelievable, really, year that I've been super active on LinkedIn. It's been about a year. And I've met some of the most just incredibly interesting, insightful, smart, witty, intriguing people that it actually made this craziness of being quarantined and COVID. It made that into, hey, Jay, what's up? How you doing? Good evening, Scott. You crack me up. You rock. Gary, you're one of the really, really impactful ones. The things that we've talked about have just been really cathartic for me, and your comments are amazing. Hi, Brad. He's my chief encouragement officer. We work together. He's my CEO. So, I mean, you guys just are an unbelievable support, but I want anybody to know that comes on here that hasn't felt comfortable going forward with your story or sharing yourself. I talked to 3 people today on 3 Zoom calls, where I was encouraging the person that I was talking to put forth their story. And if you're not into Video, you know, there's always like an anchor podcast where it's just voice. I prefer lives like this, but I do some audio only. But it's the most rewarding, incredible platform, LinkedIn, I think that exists. And it's very, people want to hear from you. People want to learn about you and hear your story. And, you know, just keep that in mind. If you're scared or nervous, or you think to yourself, which I've thought many times, why do they care what I think? Why would I share this story? You know, why would anybody care? I mean, that's total, like that imposter syndrome, sort of, what value do I bring? And I've completely, as you all see, completely overcome that, because I have gotten unbelievable support and encouragement, but I've also worked on my value and my worth and what I bring. And I know that I bring value to the table. So my stories are important and they are impacting and helping others. And that's my purpose and my passion, is to, you know, help people, guide people. There's Shara. Maybe she couldn't get logged on. Hold on one second. But anyway, just to finish my sentence, I was saying my purpose here is to guide others to, you know, go through their journey to become who they really are, and then show that to the world. So each of you has helped me so much, so much. Dan says that if anyone wants to tell their story but doesn't want to use their name, I will offer to talk to them and write their story for them anonymously. That's interesting. He's a 15-year journalist. Nice, Dan. Thanks for the offer. Shara is here, and so is Jaden. I'm going to bring them in. Hi.
Oh, I gotta move this right. I don't know what's going on with this computer. Hello.
How are you?
Good. Sorry, we were a little late.
Jaden, was it you? Were you the reason? No. You're so darn cute. I see you all the time when mommy posts stuff and videos of you guys, and you're so cute. I'm so excited to meet you in real life like this. And guess what else? What? We're like not that far from each other. We're both in Philadelphia. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Yeah, Philly. And guess what? I wear a Philly shirt just for you.
Oh, they actually match the color of your glasses, Jaden.
Yeah. Listen, royal blue is the way to go.
It really
so Shara, we don't have a long show. It's only till 8:30, but I wanted to dive right in, because you have such a rich and incredible story of things you've overcome and what you're doing now. And I would love to hear, you know, if you want to share with my audience a little bit about you and sort of what you've overcome, and just anything you want to tell, because I want people to learn who you are.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, just thank you for dealing with my technical difficulties.
Of course.
So much. So hi, everybody. I'm Shara. I'm a psychotherapist and clinical social worker in Philly. Wow, I don't even know where to start. So I'm kind of in a pivotal transitional place right now. I just started my new business, training social workers on their social work exams, and helping them do wellness checks as well while they're actually getting ready to test. So it took me a while to get through that process, because I think I told you before, Annie, it took me 10 years to get through a license that takes 2 years. So, and it became one of the most viral things I had on LinkedIn. 93,000 views of this one post of someone really just feeling inspired by that story. And what happened was, I shared that since I got my master's degree from Howard, which was 10 years ago, it took me that long because I had so many life things happen. So one was, I had a stillborn daughter. She was 7 months in utero, and I gave birth to her when my husband at the time was in Kabul, Afghanistan. So I'm a former military spouse. And that was very stressful. Going through a military divorce. Because of that, we ended up getting divorced after we had our second child, Jaden. He was a rainbow baby. And it was very hard. I had to become a single mom really fast. And Jaden also had a kidney transplant at 6 months. So while all of this is happening, getting married, losing a marriage within 2 years, losing my daughter, trying to just put the pieces back together. And then I am also in a situation where I'm living with my mom and my brother, who's suicidal at the time. And it was just a hard place for me to be, because I'm having this little baby to take care of who has a kidney issue. And my marriage was starting to fall apart, and my now ex-husband, but my husband at the time, he was states away. So single mama, married, depression, almost giving Jaden up for adoption because I was so far in my own depression, in my own having to deal with that. So having to deal with being a mental health professional who was also suffering with their own mental health. So depression, I have ADHD, generalized anxiety disorder, and trauma. So dealing with that, and then dealing with a full-time job where I'm dealing with high-risk patients, it was a lot. I still look back and try to think of how did I get through that time. I did go through therapy myself because I needed it. But it really, I think it was just the act of God, because I definitely could have left any of those years that I was going through that. But I did come out the other side of it. It took a lot of years and a lot of therapy and a lot of just searching about what it was in my own history that I needed to deal with. A lot of it had to do with my father. So my emotionally disconnected father who was in the military. So there's a bit of a story with that. But nonetheless, it really just taught me how important it is that I realized how resilient I was when I got through that. So when I finally took my exam, I passed it by 15 points. But this was a year out of being at the pandemic of losing my job, getting on food stamps, getting on food stamps because I couldn't feed my son, having to deal with the fact that people on LinkedIn thought that I was, working. I wasn't. It's just that if you drop your LinkedIn profile, if you turn the last position you have off, it will drop you from visibility. I did not want that. So I just left it the way it was. And I got on LinkedIn and told people my pandemic story of how I was really depressed. And after losing my job, having to homeschool my son because I didn't have any help. I had my boyfriend, but he was working at the time. He couldn't really help me. So having his kids, 10 and 14, and my son, doing homeschooling 3 kids, being Chef Boyardee, if you know what I mean, having to figure out how I was going to study for this exam because I failed it by 2 points November 2019.
I remember us, and I felt you were going to pass. I knew you were going to pass.
I did.
No. The next time we talked right after that, and I said, Shara, don't worry, you're going to get through this. I was in my feelings.
But it's funny now because looking about that story, it birthed my new business. I got on Clubhouse and shared that 10-year journey, that little bit I'd shared with you, and it birthed Journey to Licensure, which is my consulting business where I combine tutoring for social workers that can't pass their exam with wellness coaching. So I'm helping them with relaxation techniques, mindfulness meditation, and just trying to relax during the test. And since I have all those specializations as a therapist, I figured I could use them in that space. But so many people just reached out to me and said, man, you're inspiring. I would have just said, screw this test on. And I did for 6 months. I played Nintendo Switch. That's all I did.
Listen,
I think I was from April.
Shara, with everything you've just told us, I don't think anyone would blame you. I mean, you deserved a little time off.
Well, yeah, but at the time I felt so much pressure to do something. My license that I have now enables me to remotely work from home or have, more control over my career. But at the time it was like nothing I could do. I was crippled. In Philly, there were riots going on, homicides, shootings.
It was not a good time.
It was nuts. It's still nuts now. I mean, the homicide rate is still up and the gun violence here is ridiculous. And I'm in West Philly. So at the time, from what I remember, I had migraines. I'll never forget. From March, every day, I was taking 6 migraines a day. 6 of them. Hi, Cole. I see him. I'll never forget that because I literally could not eat. I couldn't really sleep. The kids, they were getting fed. I made sure they were taken care of, but I just crawl up into a ball.
You can deal with that.
Yeah. It wasn't until I got CAT scan and saw that I was fine. It was all psychosomatic. I just couldn't do anything.
You want to explain what that is for anyone who's listening and doesn't know what psychosomatic means?
My clinician had just went on. So psychosomatic means that there are no biological reason for your body to react a certain way. So me having migraines, because of my anxiety, it brought on the migraines and the palpitations or sweating. So there's no physiological reason for having bodily symptoms that mimic a heart attack or something else like that, when it's really just all emotional. So that's what that somatic means. Somatic being physical sensations of the body.
Brad asked you just real quick. He said, what did you do to bring yourself back to wholeness? Which is, I think he means like, you know, after those 6 months of Nintendo.
Oh my God. Medicine. So I got on medicine for the first time in my life, period. I've never been on medicine for my generalized anxiety disorder or my ADHD. And I also have a sleep disorder. When I talk about these three things, the people like, you're a smart girl, I don't understand. I'm like, well, they're labels. They're just things I have to learn how to work around. But for me, it was having therapy. I needed support. I had a therapist before. I'm a therapist that has a therapist. I always have therapists.
Listen, coaches need coaches, therapists need therapists. It's okay.
They do. And for me, it was one of those things I knew if I did not get help or did not seek it, then I was not going to come out of this. Not okay. I knew that I needed to pass this exam. I have worked too hard, too many hours, too many scabies and bed bugs and all types of stuff I used to get from the job I used to work at to get the hours to even qualify for this exam that took me 10 years to get to. So I said, I have to do something to get myself out of this. And that was getting help. After getting insurance, seeing a psychiatrist for my ADHD and anxiety, also getting focusing on just my wellness, getting better, drinking water. I just fell apart from the seams. I really was. Reaching out for help was probably the most pivotal part last year. And we're a year in now. And this year time last year, I was a freaking train wreck.
Well, think about that just for a second. Think about how far you've come in 1 year. And I've had a really, really pivotal and incredible and growth journey in the past year. But I mean, you have to pat yourself on the back for that growth and evolving and asking for support and help and getting it and finally getting medicated for, you know, something that you can't control that's in your body. And I can totally relate to that.
You know, as a therapist, I worked in a hospital for several years, and I used to tell my patients, you have to take your medicine, and not thinking that for me and my symptoms, ADHD was newly diagnosed in March. Mind you, I've had it all of my life and I didn't know it.
Shara, I relate to you. Thank you, Thomas. I relate to you on a lot of levels and a lot of trials and tribulations that you've suffered with. And one of which, my story is that I was misdiagnosed for 20 years. And so I was told I had depression and anxiety when it was actually bipolar 2. And so I was mismedicated, and then ADHD was found, which I had my whole life and suffered from, but I wasn't diagnosed with it until I was 35. So I'm exactly right there with you, that you think to yourself, you know, not in a victim way, but just, wow, I went through a lot and I sure did a lot with this ailment, this thing going on with me. And I had no idea. Had I known.
It's funny because I turned 35 on Sunday, and I was sitting, I'll never forget this. I put a LinkedIn post out that I was sitting in the parking lot of a Section 8 complex that I grew up in.
I saw it. Go ahead.
Parents, and it just, it was like loud music in the background. I was like, I'm standing here remembering what it was like for my mother to get in the food stand line, and people would make fun of us and getting second hand-me-down clothes and all of that. And here I am about to start my own business. It really brought things full circle for me. You know, just I'm setting a bar for my family, even for my children, because I'm engaged now. So my 2 stepdaughters.
Congratulations.
I've been engaged since December. It's a beautiful thing. But it was one of those things that for me to have gone from that type of background to being the first one to graduate from college with high honors and a master's degree within a year and a half, with having a learning ADHD and anxiety, which was all undiagnosed at the time, except for the anxiety. How hard my brain had to work to get through all that, all the things I had to do to
the struggle that could have been lifted from you had it been. But you know what?
She was like, "Oh, I am so sorry. I'm sorry."
I get it, but it's like, but listen, I have an Annietude about it. I have a silver lining. Maria, by the way, to answer your question, yes, I was 35. I'm now 42. So in 2014, I was finally diagnosed. Thank you for the question. Shara, this is what's unbelievable. Like all of this made you you. And I know you know this, but all of this, we could look back and say like, God, I mean, when I blew up my life in 2014 and when this happened and that happened and I ruined this and this really, it all made you exactly who you are to do what you're here to do. You have empathy and compassion for your patients that you could have never had you not gone through those struggles. You have a very unique story and overcoming that's really incredible. I mean, your story is really, really incredible. And you carry that with you to every patient that you see. And now you're coaching other people that are having trouble with the test. I mean, you're actually taking your journey similar to what I'm doing and applying it to your helping people and guiding them.
Yeah, that's
do you stop and realize that?
Yes, it hits me in different fashions. There's still times where I'm like, this is, I detach from like, is this really my story? Because I've shared so many pieces of that, of who I am and been very unapologetically about it. There are so many people, and I'm sure you've heard it, you should post that on LinkedIn. And
absolutely.
I'm like,
that's showing too much.
You can scroll past it. That's just,
that's why you can scroll. Right.
But just stories connect. I mean, my business was birthed out of me sharing strategies on Clubhouse and telling people the story of how long it took me to get my license. And when I tell you, people literally was in my DMs just like, can you help me pass? And I'm like, sure, I'll do some free sessions. And then they were like, no, we'll pay you. And I was like, okay. So
you learned your value and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, that's what ended up happening on Clubhouse. Once I did a steady group, it became a funnel space for people wanting coaching. And I was like, you know what? I want to do something different. I want people to, I want social workers to get wellness coaching because I also specialize in compassion fatigue and ADHD now, by the way. But
for you, girl, you're amazing.
It's just one of those things that I want to give back. My experiences, all the painful, all of it. So yeah, I'm very excited, but it's still also real for me of how far.
Yeah, it's new. But I want you to, we have a couple comments that I want to go through. I want people to know that, that they're here and they're being seen and heard. And I want you to know what people are saying because there's some really kind ones. But, I feel like the vibe I'm getting, my intuition is telling me you're very much like me, which is that we don't stop and say, wait a minute, look at what I just did in this past year. Look at who I'm becoming and who I've become, and look at what I've overcome, because we just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And I want you as my guest, this is your homework. I want you to stop for a minute and appreciate the strength and courage and bravery that you have. Don't just say it, feel it. Because it's truly, I do this every week for months and months and months and months. And I'm telling you, you've impacted me so much just from your story. Like, it's truly incredible. So just receive that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Gary said GAD, panic disorder, major depression, ADHD. What a familiar story. It blows me away how many of us there are. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, all the areas that I have and specialize in.
Right? I respect both you ladies. Love how you never gave up. That's a message to the audience. Never quit. You're damn right.
Yeah.
Brad says it's the ingredients of your life that make you so relatable through your vulnerability. That's why we tell our story, Brad.
Yeah.
I don't know who LinkedIn user is. I hate when this happens, but there's some sort of setting that happens and they don't come through. So I'm sorry. I don't know. But hi, Bill, good to see you. You always pop on. You're such a good supporter. Another LinkedIn user says hello. Maria, you both are helping a lot of people who have the same journey. Thank you. Such a beautiful story from Kenny.
Oh.
Kenny's the man. We love him. So, I'm glad that I was able to say that, because the show goes by really fast. You told your story super fast and there's so much to it, but you're like, it's still new and I'm here. And I think what I relate to so much with you, and I see your posts and that I mean those comments that I make like from my heart. I mean, I love your son. He's so like edibly adorable, and your story, just, you're so, if anything, I'm nothing if I don't tell the truth. I'm so real. Like, that's what I think I bring. Right. And that's what you do. You bring so much genuineness and realness, and it's not that common. It's not that common for someone to really unapologetically show up and say, this is who I am. This is what I've been through. If you don't want to hear it, you can scroll past, but this is my story. And it's a beautiful thing. And it reflects, Shara, exactly what I'm doing with my life, which is what my business does, which is help people to find themselves and be their authentic, true selves, who you already are. And it's truly incredible because you certainly had a lot of things to overcome.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. And it's funny that you speak of that, Anna, because I wasn't always that way.
No, me either.
And me growing up in a family where you're seen and not heard and losing that voice in a dysfunctional, physically and emotionally abusive family, it did its damage. But what came out of that for me is a beautiful story of resilience and finding that voice again. And now I think that's part of the reason why I'm just like, I'm 35. I don't give a shit. Like, oh, screw yourself.
No shit's given. No shit's given.
Like, I don't care at this point. I was like, people were talking about curating content in a way. I was like, I don't plan anything. I just get up and I talk.
Oh my God, Shara, I'm exactly the same. Like, I don't know about plan. I can't do that. I just speak from my heart. I get a feeling, it overwhelms me, and I share it. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's the way I roll. So that's like, that's your brand, that's my brand, that's what we're doing, and that's who we are, and Shara, it resonates with people. I mean, you get a lot of engagement.
Yeah, it still surprises me of how much 2 years ago when I started, no, almost 3 years ago, I said I started on LinkedIn looking for a job.
Well, it's unbelievable. Do you see, before you came on, I had this, and I know I'm beating this horse to death, guys. So forgive me, but I'm saying it to Shara because I haven't said it to her yet. Like, it's truly, I came out of my EMBA in May of 2020, and I was still pretty broken in a lot of ways. And in this past year, I've transformed and started to like really build my business. And LinkedIn is it's my office, it's my playground, it's my people. And it is single-handedly, I've built my business on LinkedIn with a lot of support and help from the people that I've met and the relationships that I have. And so you're saying the same thing. Do you feel the same way about Clubhouse? Do you feel that's?
Yeah, but it's now simultaneously, it's like LinkedIn and Clubhouse now. And it's just been such a great space for connecting. Of course, once you're on, it's going to be a black hole. But once you curate your space and find your voice and the people that you can connect with and support it becomes a space that really can be very powerful. So yeah, I love it. Between Clubhouse and now what's happening with my Instagram is like blowing up now because of that, LinkedIn and Twitter. But it's just amazing how many people you can reach with your story and how powerful vulnerability and being genuine is, and for people to say, this is me, take it or leave it. And not just, the business bullshit just kind of goes to the side. Everyone's people. And I keep telling people that. And when I do master classes for my counseling people, they're all like, oh, I gotta be counseled. I was like, no, people don't want that. They want to see you. They need to connect with who you are before anything else. Or it's just
right.
So that's kind of what I've been going with the whole time.
I love it. And that's why I feel so connected to you, even if we don't, talk often one-to-one. I just really feel like, everything you say sort of resonates with me. And I'm just so proud of what you've done in a year. And that my favorite part is that you share your heart and who you are and where you've come from. And it's not just like, oh, this happened. And, it's really from your heart and soul. And that's what makes you different. And that's what resonates with people. So we're like at the end of the show already. Where's Jaden? I got to see him for 2 seconds.
He ran out. Jaden? Fortnite. It's probably Fortnite.
So is my son. So where do people find you if they want to learn more?
They can always find me living on LinkedIn. You can find me on Clubhouse. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram. I respond to everyone's messages. So please hit me up if you want.
Okay, so Living with Annietude is over already, guys. I have to say, Shara, thank you for being here from my heart. I appreciate it. I know it's hard with kids. I'm so happy for you that you're getting stepchildren now and you're making one wonderful blended family. I love that. And I love everything that you're doing. I will always support you. So I appreciate you. And I'm going to play my fun outro. Okay, everybody. Good night.
Let's be the best version of ourselves. Just keep learning and evolving no matter what. So here I am, bold, strong, fearless. Let's live fearlessly together. This is real and candid. This is how we live. Share this with a friend and subscribe to Living with Annietude. You, me, us. Let's talk. Let's evolve.